Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into a really fascinating piece of technology. It feels like it's genuinely innovating, visual documentation, especially in fields like, well, dentistry and medicine.
Right.
We're talking about the Admetec Flamingo, the full HD loop-mounted camera.
Yep, that's the one.
So our mission here for this deep dive is really to explore its most distinctive features, understand the practical side for users.
Yeah, how it actually works day to day.
Exactly. And get a feel for the user experience, all based on the material you've shared with us.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is how that role of clear, instant visual sharing has just, well, it's exploded, hasn't it, in clinical
It
practice?
really seems like it, more than just records.
Oh, much more. It's gone way beyond basic patient records. Now it's a dynamic teaching tool. Think real-time demos.
Oh, okay. For learning.
Yeah, enhances learning massively. And also, maybe less obviously, it's powerful for building patient confidence, trust.
Makes sense. Seeing is believing, kind of.
Exactly. Shows you're cutting edge, transparent. So this deep dive will really look at how the Flamingo's seamless integration and that lightness
Oh, wait, yeah.
addresses those needs directly.
Okay, let's kick off right there then, with something fundamental for anything you mount on loops. The weight.
Crucial.
Our sources really hammered home the Flamingo's incredibly light design. But what's the actual impact? Beyond just the number, for a professional wearing this stuff for hours.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, ergonomics are they're absolutely paramount for clinicians, especially thinking long-term, career longevity.
You're preventing strain.
Exactly. A camera that weighs, what, 19 grams,
Yeah.
including the camera and the light.
It's 19 grams, yeah. That's tiny.
It's not just about comfort now. It's about potentially preventing years of, cumulative neck and back pain down the line.
I hadn't thought of it quite like that. It's preventative.
Totally. Imagine minimizing that physical strain that frankly can lead to burnout. It lets clinicians focus purely on their intricate work. No physical distraction.
So that 19 grams isn't just lighter.
No, it's an investment in a healthier, more sustained career. And the material mentioned this too, the benefit's even bigger when you pair it with really ergonomic loops.
Like Admetec's own ergo loops.
Exactly. They're designed specifically to cut down neck tilt, improve posture. We even heard from one clinician who said using those ergonomic loops made them realize just how much strain they'd been under before without even knowing it.
Wow. Okay. So beyond the camera itself, the sources pointed to a really unique integration with the light system.
Ah, yes, the light.
What did the material show about how the Flamingo handles illumination?
Yeah.
Why is that such a benefit in, the clinical workflow?
Well, this really brings up an important question about workflow efficiency and cognitive load, actually.
Okay.
When the light and the lens are coaxially aligned, meaning they always point together, if your area of interest is lit up, brilliantly lit, you just know it's being captured clearly by the camera, no guesswork.
Ah, so you're not fiddling with two different things, aligning the light, then the camera.
Precisely. It eliminates that whole fuss, that wasted effort of trying to independently align both the camera's view and the light's beam.
Which saves time, I imagine.
Loads of time, but also mental energy. It means clinicians can dedicate their full focus to the patient, the procedure. That leads to better outcomes, less stress. It's about removing a layer of mental friction, really.
Makes sense.
And the material specifically praised its light 60,000 lux, which is exceptionally bright.
Wow.
Great for tricky spots like the lower left back molar was mentioned, but you can dim it too, which is key.
Flexibility.
Exactly. And for working with resins, it even includes an orange filter. Small detail, but critical.
Right. Thoughtful. Okay, let's talk about attachment. Because sometimes the simplest things are the most frustrating in practice.
How it actually connects.
Yeah. Our sources talked about the Flamingo's direct screw-in mount. We heard from Carl Horton, for instance.
Yes, Carl Horton's feedback.
He mentioned that initially it felt like, and I quote, an absolute faff to screw and unscrew it.
Laughs slightly. Yeah, faff is a good word for it sometimes.
But then she really stressed this huge underlying benefit: consistency. So what's the story there? Why does that consistency matter so much?
Well, consistency is it's crucial, absolutely crucial for high-quality clinical documentation, especially when you need to look back at cases over time, track progress or use it for teaching.
Right, comparing images or videos later.
Exactly. So the screw and mount, yeah, maybe there's that initial setup consideration, and Carl Horton's point about even getting dedicated loops just for videography really highlights this.
Shows commitment.
It does, but it ensures incredibly reliable, repeatable framing. It takes a variable out of the equation, makes the output much more predictable, more professional.
So less chance of missing the shot you intended.
Precisely. That reliability is a huge advantage for clear, accurate long-term records and for creating genuinely effective teaching materials.
Okay. Now the footage itself. The Flamingo records in full HD. That's 1080p at 30 frames per second.
Standard HD.
Our sources compared this to other cameras maybe offering 4K. And while it's not 4K, 1080p was still called very, very decent and excellent.
Yeah, perfectly good for most applications.
And it has a fixed distance view, offering about 3 to 3.5x equivalent magnification.
That's right, a fixed view.
So how does that specific combo 1080p fixed view, how does that impact different clinical procedures? What are its strengths, maybe limitations?
Well, look, while some might want 4K or zoom, 1080p does keep file sizes smaller. That's a practical point for storage, transferring files, especially recording hours of video.
Good point. Terabytes add up fast.
They really do. And critically, 1080p is perfectly adequate for the vast majority of clinical needs. Offers excellent clarity.
And the fixed view.
That fixed, broader field of view is actually really well suited for procedures like, say, implants, anterior bonding, multiple crowns,
Okay.
or even wider surgical work. We saw examples, Dr. Ilya Pekarsky in spine surgery, Dr. Aaron Schomer doing full arch dental implants. It's versatile.
So pretty broad applications.
Definitely. However, the material did indicate that for really, really detailed stuff like microendodontics.
Or root canals under high mag.
Exactly. A microscope might still be the gold standard there. You just need that much higher, fine-tuned magnification, a narrower field.
Makes sense. Different tools for different jobs.
Right. But the Flamingo does offer versatile lens options. There's a 21mm wide and a 25mm focuses lens. And you can swap them quickly, no tools needed. So there's some practical flexibility there.
Okay.
And it's worth mentioning, too, the lack of sound recording. That was a specific design choice.
Ah, a trade-off.
Yeah, a trade-off for achieving that impressive lightness.
Got it. Okay, shifting gears a bit. Beyond the hardware, a huge part of any tech is how it fits into your day, your routine.
The workflow, yeah.
And the sources pointed to a major difference in the Flamingo's workflow, especially around video storage. Like, forget fiddling with tiny micro SD cards.
Oh, the SD card shuffle, bane of many existences.
Very like. So what did the material reveal? How does this camera change things for recording and data management?
Well, this is a big one. It records wirelessly, directly to your laptop, Mac or Windows.
Directly. No card.
No card needed, which means you get one continuous video file, not those annoying multiple 3-minute chunks some cameras create.
Oh, that's huge. Stitching those together is a pain.
Exactly. And it even autosaves if your computer crashes, so you don't lose precious footage.
That's clever. Peace of mind.
Definitely. Plus, you can label your videos right there when you save them, which is a massive perk for organizing, potentially terabytes of clinical data efficiently.
So it simplifies the whole post-recording nightmare.
Drastically. It avoids managing all those cards, fragmented files, spending hours organizing later. It's a significant time saver, reduces headaches, big win for workflow.
And what about power? Battery life?
Also very well thought out. You get about 4 hours of camera and light use per battery.
4 hours is pretty solid.
Yeah, and the unit comes with a spare. So you've got 8 hours total filming time right out of the box.
Nice. Covers a long day or complex procedures.
And here's a really smart feature. If you need to swap batteries mid-procedure, the video automatically pauses when you take the old one out and automatically resumes when you put the new one in. Seamless recording, no interruption.
That is clever. Yeah. They really thought about the user.
Seems like it. And the charge time is quick, too. About 3 hours. Yeah. Very practical.
Okay, now here's a really relatable detail from the feedback we got. Particularly Carl Horton's experience again.
Right.
The Bluetooth foot pedal that comes with it.
Ah, the foot pedal, yes.
Initially, Carl was not a fan. He called it another foot pedal.
Yeah.
In an already congested space near his chair.
Chuckles, I can picture that. Lots of pedals down there sometimes.
Right. But then, after a few months, his view totally flipped. He said it's super, super easy to use and so much better than actually changing your gloves and pressing the record button.
Interesting turnaround.
Yeah. It lets you record very selectively, hands-free. He called it a total game changer. So what does that little detail tell us about the product's approach, maybe? Its impact?
Well, it brings up that whole question of investment, doesn't it? Not just money, but investment in, like, workflow improvement.
How so?
Okay, the Flamingo costs about £3,300 retail in the UK. The material mentioned a discount, bringing it nearer $2,805.
Okay.
Now compare that to other systems. Carl Horton mentioned paying over £4,000 for his OXO camera.
Ah, so it's competitively priced then.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But that foot pedal story, it perfectly sums up the value proposition. It's about those subtle, almost invisible integrations that make a real difference in a clinician's daily grind.
Minimizing interruptions, keeping focus.
Exactly. It's about letting you focus on the patient, not the tech. And the material also consistently mention the support from Admetec being really responsive and helpful.
Which is crucial for any big tech purchase.
Absolutely vital. Good support means your investment keeps paying off. You know, any issues get sorted quickly, reliably.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. What does this mean for you, our listener? If you're weighing up options, who is the Flamingo really ideal for?
Based on everything we've seen.
Yeah. If you're looking for that high-def recording, the long recording times with a spare battery, really easy, quick setup, the convenience of recording straight to your laptop, continuous files, no SD cards.
And that super lightweight camera with the really bright integrated light.
And the Admetec Flamingo looks like an excellent choice, doesn't it?
It really does. It seems tailored for those who prioritize, well, seamless workflow, comfort, and consistent high-quality documentation that just integrates smoothly.
But conversely, if your absolute must-haves are, say, 4K resolution.
Right. Or optical zoom.
Or you definitely need integrated sound recording.
Then, based on these sources, you might need to look at other options, other brands.
Makes sense. Okay, final thoughts then. Connecting this to the bigger picture.
Yeah, I think this deep dive into a specific tool like the Flamingo, it isn't just about a camera, you know?
Go on.
It really highlights the increasing sophistication and, importantly, the user-centric design we're seeing in professional tools now.
Technology designed around the user, not the other way around.
Precisely. It prompts us to think about how technology can genuinely integrate into our daily work. Not just be an add-on, something else to manage, but an essential, almost invisible partner.
Enhancing what you do.
Exactly. Enhancing precision, communication, and continuous learning in these really complex fields. It's about tech serving the practitioner, freeing them up to focus their energy where it truly matters, on their patients and their craft.
That's a fantastic thought to mull over. Tech is an invisible partner. I like that. Well, we hope this deep dive into the Admetec Flamingo has given you a useful shortcut to being well-informed about this cutting-edge tool and maybe the philosophy behind its design, too.
Hope it was helpful.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.